Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We will begin our 55th Institute Day with an invocation by Ms. Sri Sudha and Ms. Sri Ranjani.
Maitrim bhajata akila hrijayatrim. Maitrim bhajata akila hrijayatrim. Atmavadeva paranapi pashyata. Atmavadeva paranapi pashyata. Yuddham tyajata spradham tyajata. Tyajata parishvakramamakramanam. Tyajata parishvakramamakramanam. Maitrim bhajata akila hrijayatrim. Janani prithvi kamadukaste. Janani prithvi kamadukaste. Janako devaha sakala dayalu. Janako devaha sakala dayalu. Damyakadatta dayadvam janata. Damyakadatta dayadvam janata. Shreyo bhuyat sakala jananam. Shreyo bhuyat sakala jananam. Shreyo bhuyat sakala jananam. Shreyo bhuyat sakala jananam. Shreyo bhuyat sakala jananam.
I request the students to present fruit baskets as a welcome gesture to our chief guest, Shri Avinash Chandar, Secretary, Department of Defense, R&D, Director General of DRDO, and Scientific Advisor to RM, our Director, Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthy, and Distinguished Alumnus Award winners. I request Dean, Academic Courses, to deliver the welcome address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. IIT Madras is extremely happy to organize its 55th Institute Day function and to have all of your participation in it. On behalf of the Institute, I warmly welcome you all to join us in celebrating the activities and accomplishments of different constituents of our Institute. Today, we will honor our alumni, faculty, staff, and students who have excelled in performing their work. We are fortunate that this function is graced by the presence of Sri Avinash Chandar, Secretary, Department of Defense R&D, Director General DRDO, and Scientific Advisor to RM, who is our chief guest. I warmly welcome you, sir. In keeping with our tradition, we will present our Distinguished Alumnus Awards today to 8 of our special alumni. We are honored by their presence in our midst. I'm happy to welcome their family, friends, and their well-wishers also. We also wish to express our appreciation and thanks to our distinguished colleagues and enthusiastic students who have discharged their duties with great dedication and have completed their term of office during this academic year. We welcome the prize winners, their parents, and well-wishers to this function and look forward to their cheers. I welcome all our faculty, staff, students, and Institute community members to this Institute Day and look forward to their cheerful presence. A special welcome to the members of the press and media who have so willingly joined us to report this ceremony. I'm sure that all of us will enjoy this evening. Thank you.
I now invite Mr. Sri Satwik G, the Speaker, SAC, to present his report on students' governance.
Good evening, everyone. The very first line of our student constitution says that it aims at providing the student opportunities for overall personality development with emphasis on leadership qualities and the spirit of service. This year, the student representatives indeed demonstrated extraordinary leadership qualities in tackling various issues of pressing concern. While contributing to their personal development, it also helped the institute student representative structure become more efficient and robust. This year was the year of many firsts, of which I would like to present a few in this meeting. The drastic change in the number of students within a period of few years led to unfortunate disconnect between the student administration and the larger student body. Therefore, the primary focus of Student Affairs Council this year was to enhance the general student body's trust in the student administration. This was done through efforts on transparency, inclusion, publicity, sustainability, and validation. Transparency was achieved through town hall meetings and general secretary reviews. The tradition of town hall meetings was reinstituted after many years. The dean, students, and the advisors were kind enough to take up various questions about the policies of student administration. The answers helped the students understand the rationale behind various policy decisions. It also helped us, the student representatives and the faculty, retrospect on some of the said policies. The meeting success led us to plan for one more such meeting, which is to be held in the next 10 days. Also, the General Secretary's Council, for the first in a very long time, conducted reviews of all the hostels and evaluated the work done by their peers. The hostel infrastructure and the grievance redressal aspect of all the hostels was scrutinized during the review. The review made sure that the opinions of the wide range of students were heard and fed back to the system for the necessary changes to be made. Participation of postgraduate students, female students, and the general student body as a whole were important considerations for inclusion. The postgraduate representation in SAC increased from previous years after various publicity initiatives throughout the year. The voices of students were heard in various forms like the online feedback, special SAC meetings, and the town hall meetings. The percentage of female students in both the SAC and the executive wing have steadily reached a state where it reflects the actual percentage of female students in the campus. It is interesting to note that the executive wing has one female member for the last 3 years. Hence, when there was a proposal to implement reservation for female students in the Student Affairs Council, it was considered, analyzed, and rejected. The electoral system of IIT Madras was redesigned with the aim of empowering the student voter and greater validation to the student representatives. The students were given the right to reject all, while at the same time making them aware of the consequences of such a decision. The instant runoff voting, which seeks to select candidates with maximum approval rather than maximum votes, was reaffirmed to be the more appropriate system to select the student representatives. One of the landmark achievements of this year's Student Affairs Council was drafting the first ever honor code of IIT Madras. It was instituted with the hope that it will inculcate in students a sense of honor and pride, which they stand to lose in case of violations of the code. In brief, the honor code expects every student to act with integrity, excellence, diversity, respect, preservation, and responsibility. The honor code will be implemented in the next year after taking valuable inputs from the faculty and students. Coming to the student-run teams, the Committee for Monitoring General Facilities for Students deserves special mention. The committee held monthly meetings with service providers of various facilities to ensure that better quality service is provided to the students. The committee also facilitated opening of 3 new outlets within the campus, namely the 24-hour snacketariya, the new tea stall, and the light snack stall within the existing student facility center. The feedback system followed this year had participation of students in various capacities. It also made use of the social networks to a very great extent in understanding the concerns of students. One other team which also deserves special mention is the Eyre Council. The Secretary Eyre, taking a post created for the very first time, introduced a flurry of new initiatives and established a team structure that will be used for many years to come. We have realized through various instances throughout the year that the present student constitution has outlived its utility. With heavy heart, we have decided to completely do away with the old constitution and to pen a completely new one to serve the community of 7,500 students. This is going to be a gargantuan effort, but I'm sure that the student representatives, with due support from the faculty, support staff, and the general student body as a whole, will be able to pull it off. Let me end with thanking the director, dean students, all the advisors, executive wing, the Student Affairs Council, all the student teams, the staff at the deans, placements, and the hostel management office for their efforts towards student administration. Thank you.
I now invite Mr. Deepak Johnson, General Secretary, Student Affairs Council, to present his report on students' activities and accomplishments.
Good evening, everyone. This year, the organized efforts by the student teams partly achieved in providing a holistic perspective to the student community. For the first time, International and Alumni Relations Council was set up, which spearheaded the activities oriented towards bridging the gap between the alumni and the institute. Student General Secretary's committee was reorganized with 2 new teams, IIT for Society and Campus Palliative Care, to improve and further the social roles that the students play outside of the confines of the campus. The co-curricular activities this year had the highlight of Shastra 2014 with the theme Breaking Boundaries. It had a footfall of over 20,000 people from over 1,000 colleges across the nation. With 52 events, 13 student-conducted workshops, and 24 lectures with the likes of renowned activist Richard Stallman. 3 additions were also made to the Limca Book of Records during the second version of the Student Techno Entertainment Show Envisage. After filing the only student patent of IIT Madras from Center for Innovation to solve a complex problem faced by railways, students were successful in starting a company called Hyperverge. Our students in the form of Team Amog was successful in winning the Nationals of Student Autonomous Underwater Vehicle Competition 2014 and would be representing India and IITM at the international level. Team Sahai has also been initiated, which works towards providing technical solutions for the persons with disability. The Institute technical team also participated in the second Inter-IIT Technical Meet, where it stood second overall. Inter-IIT Sports Meet 2013 saw IIT Madras put up a good show, with the men's team finishing runners-up for the men's general championship and the women's team finishing 4th, an improvement from last year's 7th place. We also had an interdepartmental Girls' Trotter Trophy and Sports Premier League. The reintroduction of All India Invitational Volleyball Tournament, which happened in March following a long 23-year period, saw enthusiastic campus residents arriving as spectators even at the late night. The latest edition of Sarang, the annual cultural festival of IIT Madras, was held from 8th to 12th of January this year. The 5-day cultural festival concluded with a lively performance by Salim Sulaiman as a part of the popular night. Sarang 2014 also hosted a number of lectures from eminent personalities, including Leander Pace, Kiran Bedi, and Nawasuddin Siddiqui. Speak Mackay, the cultural organization founded with the noble objective of promoting Indian arts, also gave the institute some splendid performances from the luminaries like Hariprasad Chaurasia. The International and Alumni Relations Student Council was established this year. Some of the notable initiatives of this council include Chennai 36, the official alumni blog of IIT Madras, the I Love Insti video campaign, Career Connect, a series of panel discussions and interviews for students to make informed choices. The Mitra team, helping in identifying difficulties related to the student life, brought out a series of events like Emoticon 360. The National Service Scheme engaged the volunteers with a variety of projects, toy making to Wikipedia editing, and arranged for an open house to showcase their achievements. We had 23 extramural lectures this time, with the speakers ranging from the well-known author Jeffrey Archer to collaboration with the renowned TEDx platform. The Vivekananda Study Circle organized 3-day conference titled Swami Vivekananda's Message of Man-Making, with guest speakers like Santosh Hegde to commemorate the 150th birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda. Quest, a team that emphasizes on rational thinking, organized a few discussions this year on popular science topics. Reflections Trivo organized lectures on various issues relevant to the personal upbringing of the students. The student volunteers of the campus palliative care have visited many terminally ill patients and their families in supporting them to deal with the adversities. IIT for Society enthusiastically took up the issues relating to gender and caste, which are often given the least importance in discussions pertaining to society, in association with the colloquium team. The Sustainability Network conducted an energy audit of the hostels and organized a 1-day-long summit on the emerging technological innovations in this sector. The organization IIT for Villages conducted a symposium for the school students. Finally, another constituent team, Disaster Management Committee, in association with the Security Section, facilitated for the detailed analysis of different large-scale venues within the institute and conducted workshops on emergency medical care sessions for the student volunteers of various organizations in the campus. All these wouldn't have been possible without the constant support and encouragement given by the director, deans, advisors, faculty members, and staff. Last but not the least, it is the students who have learned newer things and interacted with a long list of agents to make the events possible in the institute. Let me thank you all for your earnest efforts. Hope the coming years would also provide a gamut of activities to transform the thoughts and actions of the student community. Thank you.
I request our director, Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthy, to deliver the presidential address.
Very, very good evening to all of you. Secretary of Defense R&D, Scientific Advisor to the Defense Minister, and the Director General of DRDO, Mr. Avinash Chandar. Distinguished Alumnus Awardees for 2014. Faculty and staff colleagues, students and campus residents, friends from the media. My greetings to all of you on this joyous occasion when we celebrate the completion of 55 years of our institute. We've had a fulfilling and eventful year in which our students have, as always, excelled in every sphere: academics, research, sports, as well as cultural and literary activities. We seem to be missing the Inter-IIT Sports Trophy by a whisker once too often. We missed it. We had a very close call both last year and the year just gone by. But that does not take away from the medal-winning performance of several of our teams and athletes, both men and women, in so many games and events. The new year began with a double header. In a matter of 10 days, we had a power-packed technical festival Shastra, followed by the evergreen cultural festival Sarang. The range of technical and cultural skills on show by our students gives us tremendous satisfaction that we have an institutional ambience that produces well-rounded individuals and emphasizes character building. Our Distinguished Alumnus Awards have become highly coveted for the sheer honor of being counted amongst the very best. This year, for the first time, we decorate 10 of our alumni, up from the usual 7 or 8. It is a happy dilemma to be in when we find that despite increasing the number, there are several equally accomplished alumni waiting to be similarly honored. The range of professions covered by our awardees this year, which includes medicine and science writing, is indeed breathtaking. We're very pleased to honor, starting this year, faculty members who excel in research at different stages of their careers in our institute. These awards are being given in addition to the Young Faculty Recognition Awards that have been in vogue for some time now, which are given on Teachers' Day. Every great institution has its crown jewels, and so does IIT Madras. The Best Teacher Award, instituted 3 years ago by an alumnus, goes to the faculty member with the best student evaluation in a consistent manner over several years. Beginning this year, we also recognize the immense contribution of a faculty member who inspires all of us by a lifetime of excellence in research. The award winner for this award, the Lifetime Award in Research Excellence, will be designated henceforth as Institute Professor. If the faculty is one strong leg on which the institute stands, the technical and ministerial staff is the other. We are proud of their contribution to our institute, and we announce from this year onwards awards for outstanding service and excellence in service for the very best amongst them. I wish to place on record the institute's and my own heartfelt gratitude to colleagues who have completed their terms as heads of departments, chairpersons of councils, liaison officials, and advisors. Theirs is a labor of love with no expectation of anything in return. Our student office bearers, some of whom gave you a brief report of their activities for the year, have displayed signs of exemplary leadership. We are confident that they will continue to shine once they graduate. My congratulations to all of them. This year too, as always, our students have set aside the proceeds of the Sarang Choreo Night for charity. Today, several organizations that render selfless service in and around Chennai will receive generous donations from the students. We're indeed honored to have Mr. Avinash Chandar here today as our chief guest. His outstanding contributions to India's defense technology development are well known to most of us. He heads DRDO at a time when, buoyed by its success in the missile, LCA and other programs, very ambitious projects are being launched to take India to a completely different level in defense technology. As a distinguished alumnus of a sister IIT and a DRDO veteran, he represents the very best in our educational and scientific research systems. We thank him for accepting our invitation to be with us today. I congratulate all the award winners today, and in particular the students who have won laurels in various competitions and in academics throughout the year. I wish everyone a very, very happy Institute Day 2014. Thank you.
I request Professor David Koil-Pillai, Dean Planning, to introduce our chief guest.
Respected Director, Professor Ramurthy, honored Chief Guest, Shri Avinash Chandar, distinguished alumni, family members, colleagues, students, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It has been said that to achieve excellence, one has to think big, think differently, think fast, and think ahead, and always aim for the best. Institute Day is an occasion when we celebrate those of the IIT Madras family who demonstrate these attributes. It is my pleasure to introduce our chief guest, Shri Avinash Chandar, Secretary, Department of Defense R&D, Director General DRDO, and the Scientific Advisor to Raksha Mantri. On the occasion of our 55th Institute Day, we are honored to have with us Shri Chandar, one of the most accomplished and widely recognized scientists and administrators of strategic R&D in India. Shri Chandar joined DRDO in 1972 after completing his studies at IIT Delhi and JNTU Hyderabad. He was the program manager and chief architect of the Agni series of long-range ballistic missile systems. He created the infrastructure, the production and integration facilities for the 5 classes of Agni missiles A1 through A5, which occupy the place of pride in the Indian Armed Forces. Agni 5 has a range of 5,000 kilometers. The leadership of Shri Chandar is credited with this accomplishment. His pioneering research in inertial navigation and guidance systems has enabled utilization of solid propulsion in the long-range missiles. Under his vision, DRDO has carried out research and indigenously developed critical technologies such as composite rocket motors, re-entry heat shield, and high-end real-time computing techniques. Shri Chandar has been the driving force behind several programs of national importance on underwater missiles, the BrahMos missile, and the ship-based tracking system. In recognition of his outstanding technical contributions, Shri Chandar has received numerous awards and recognitions. I will mention the highlights. The Government of India Padma Shri Award, DRDO Scientist of the Year Award, IIT Delhi Distinguished Alumnus Award, and the Fellowship of the Indian National Academy of Engineering. Sir, it is truly an honor for us to have you, a distinguished scientist and IIT alumnus, as the chief guest for our Institute Day. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Shri Avinash Chandar to address the gathering.
Professor Bhaskar Ramurthy, Director IIT Madras, Chennai, distinguished members on the dais, the distinguished alumni who have gathered together with their brilliant performances, members of the faculty, students, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to be here on the 55th Institute Day address of the IIT Madras, Chennai. 55 years is a long period in a man's life. And I think an equally important for an organization also. In today's world where the organization lives are becoming 15, 20, 25 years. Today, when we look back to revisit what we have achieved, what we have created, what difference we have made to the technology capability of the country, and I think to the technology capability of the world as a whole, I think IIT Madras has a unique position in creating a hallmark of leadership and excellence across the globe. And I congratulate all of you for making it happen. For me, it's also an occasion to recognize the selfless service rendered by the Institute and its faculty over the years, and the many luminaries who have emerged from this institute. Happy to note that many of them are being honored today. I personally, having been from IIT, and I owe what I am today primarily to the molding I got during my IIT years, 67 to 72, after which I joined DRDO straight. I think IITs are the places where we get raw, uncut diamonds, and they are transformed by this faculty and the people here into polished gems which radiate their brilliance across the world. And I think those are the gems what we are seeing here today. I find that today is the time when India is rediscovering itself. We had a major change in 50s when we created the IITs. We had the second major change in the 90s when the country shifted to the global competitiveness. And I think today we have come to another stage where we need to rediscover itself We are at the footsteps of greatness. We have been following technology and we have been made our own mark in creating, converting those technologies into successes, creating a leadership in many of them. But we are constantly living in a syndrome of fifth country, sixth country, seventh country, third country. I think the time has come when we have to rethink ourselves, rebuild ourselves into areas where we will become the first in the world, provide technology leadership, and this is the goal we have set for next 15 years for DRDO, to transform from a technology catching up to a technology leadership. And I think that can be possible only with the entire contribution and hand-holding with all the academic institutions across the country to reach that level. I think if we need to make this change, there are going to be many requirements. Today, Indian capabilities, primarily our strength is in the service provider. We are excellent. Today, bulk of our India's capabilities, more than 50%, is in the service segment. Only about 13% is in manufacturing. If you take China, it's more than 50% in manufacturing. And if we want to have a true strength, sustained strength, it has to come by converting from ourselves to be a manufacturing hub, which will be the key to growth. Manufacturing needs driving the technology, and technology in turn driving the manufacturing processes capabilities to a new higher level. I think this is the cycle which will be the engine for growth of the country and the economy as a whole, which we have to develop and create. We have all the elements for it. We have the necessary software strength. We have the excellent engineering capabilities coming out. We have the future machining capabilities. We have to put them together and translate them into a new capability. And I think the day we are able to put them together, nothing can stop us from reaching where we want to be. Country, if you see today, there are three pillars of technology strength. The scientific institutes, DRDO, DA, ISRO, TIFR, CSIR, and a few like that. Second is the industry, which needs to expand its research base. If you see today's, India is one of the lowest expenditure on the R&D, if we see. We are spending hardly about 0.8% of our gross GDP on the R&D. And out of that 0.8%, 0.6% comes from the government. And only about 0.2% comes from the industry. Whereas if you see elsewhere, a bulk of the R&D expenditure happens in the industry itself. So I think in future, if we have to drive the R&D capabilities of the country, where it's manufacturing, conversion. Today, why we are poor in manufacturing is primarily because there's practically no R&D expenditure in the industry. And third is the academic institutes which are providing the knowledge hub, providing the dynamic. Unfortunately, these three pillars today are working kind of independent of each other. There's very little overlap between the three. And that is where I find the steps taken by IIT Madras are unique, innovative, creating the RIC Park, creating the new hubs where industry and academia and the scientific community comes together to create new capabilities. I think that is going to be the transforming process for us. Today, for the defense segment, we have many, many challenges. In the missiles, we have got excellent capabilities in the strategic systems. On the tactical missiles, we are now trying to cover longer ranges, higher capability, intelligent imaging, RF seekers, On the aeronautics, having developed the LCA, we are now looking for advanced medium combat aircraft, which will be of a class somewhat better than FGFA, what we are buying, in terms of the stealth, in terms of the super cruise capabilities, in terms of the many other features what it is going to have. The unmanned combat vehicle, which will require, again, new challenges and new technology levels. Radars, we are making breakthroughs. In fact, today, almost 80% of the radar requirements of the armed forces are being met by the DRDO developed systems. But the future, active electronically scanned arrays, over-the-horizon radars, multistatic radars which can beat the stealth, and many other new areas are emerging where we need to again sit together, look forward, and make them happen. And finally, the key to this is the devices and materials. One area, if we want to transform ourselves into a country with a leading capability, we have to work in the area of devices and materials, because wherever we end up, we find the devices are the bottleneck. I do not have the gallium nitride devices to give me the requisite power for my transmitters. I do not have the devices, whether it is MCT or for the seekers for my IR detectors. I do not have the devices for the impact diodes, and so on. You take any area. Finally, if I'm not able to make a laser source because I don't have the fiber or the device to make it. So we always end up the limiting factors are devices and the materials. And there we have to see how to create a national initiative combining the strength of the industry, academia, and the DRDO, CSIR, DIR capabilities to put together. I think it requires a national effort if we want to make a breakthrough here. And then there are future challenges. The way the wars are being fought itself is going to change. Today, we are looking mostly at what we call a statistical probabilistic kill. If you fire sufficient number of weapons, one of them is going to hit. Even though it is guided, you have a 70% kill probability, 80% kill. Tomorrow's wars will look for an assured kill. So the accuracies we are looking for from few meters have to come to sub-meters, direct hit. And that will require, again, capabilities in the guidance, capabilities in the sensors, the devices, and the ability to compute and assess the performance in real time. Modify your capability in real time. We are going to switch over to non-contact war. Instead of kinetic hits, next few decades we'll switch over to high energy systems, lasers, magnetic. Today we are talking of electronic beams of a few microradians, less than a milliradian, of a 1 megawatt power being pumped onto space electronic spacecraft and disabling them totally. Those are the capabilities of non-contact war coming up. Third area where we have to put a thrust is the unmanned systems. We feel that after another 40-50 years, the 75% of the engagements will be unmanned. And that's where we have to start preparing a strategy of how to translate ourselves into that capability. The robotics, unmanned aircrafts, the kind of energy production in that, the sensors, the bandwidth management, interactive intelligence, and there are a host of technologies which need to be developed to meet these capabilities. And of course, as this happens, the level of network centricity has to grow more and more in the process. Autonomy levels have to change, the cognitive skills have to be built up, and these are our new challenges. And the new domains are the space security, the underwater, having exhausted the resources on surface of Earth, we will soon be forced to explore the bottom of ocean. And that's where the new conflicts will come, and we have to start preparing for those conflicts, those capabilities. And of course, the cyber domain, we all know how vulnerable we are. And parallelly, the CESNT as a whole will be a life changer in the way we do our natural resource management. Whether it's food security, energy security, creating the synthetic food products which will replace the food as the population index grows, the energy, the materials against the bioinformatics, genetics capabilities, and all of them sooner or later will get into the defense capability. They're either driving the defense technologies or they will be driven by the defense needs. If you see 1900 to 1960, 1970, entire US economy was driven by the defense technologies, making it the topmost country in the world. And last about 20-30 years has been basically the market-driven automobiles and other activities, the information technology, Silicon Valley, which has been driving. So there is a change happening, but in all cases, defense plays the major role, and that will continue to drive. So we are identifying 3 game-changing capabilities, as I said, manufacturing technologies, quantum computing, biosynthesis, materials, where we need to put extra thrust, extra capability creation, and see to it that we develop a new base, a new system. And to do this, we need to have more and more stress on innovation. Indians have always been innovating to survive. We have always been excellent survivors, creating new capabilities, whether it's jugaad or anything. But now we need that innovation to translate into the high technology capability, high technology generation. We are one of the minimum startups among the developing countries of this capability. The innovation hubs have been created. We have the entrepreneurship capabilities being set up. IIT Madras has set up an excellent facility. So it's the time our systems, both in the government and in industry, have to change. Our thought processes have to change to make sure that the small innovative hubs become an integrated part of our technology growth, our technology development. And to make that happen, we have to look at what is preventing it. Why are we scared of innovation? Why are we not attempting innovation? I think that's where we have to look at our education system, our grades process, how we are trained. We are trained to get highest performance in the exams. We are trained to perform not through ideas and innovation, but through reproduction and knowledge. We are a constant fear of failure ingredient in our children, in our students. Unless we are able to get rid of this fear of failure, that if innovation has to succeed, failure will be an integral part of it. We are looking for a change in our concept where we look for the knowledge growth rather than necessarily the output. I think if we look back, we'll find that all successes have happened over many failures. Many steps lost have led to major game changes in the process. But unfortunately, in our country, we always associate failure of the effort with the failure of the individual. I think we have to get out of that problem. And thirdly, we find that experimentation is getting more and more neglected in our education process. Today, when the students come out of it at various levels, they hardly have any experimental skills, any hardware skills. Most of the activities concentrated on the simulation software, and I think it takes at least another 2 years to train them again to become effective partners at work from many of the institutes. So this graded institutions what have come up, we need to modify the method of teaching, method of learning, and I think what we need to have is a continuous relearning process. I think that today we have to accept that illiteracy today is not the lack of knowledge, but the inability to unlearn and relearn. I think that is going to be the process which will drive if we have to move further. That is where institutes like IIT Madras and our leading institutes have to play a major role. I remember when we joined IITs used to be the leading model for the way the futuristic forward subjects are taught. Even before before we saw an IC in India, we were being taught integrated circuits. I think that forward thinking has to continue to move in the IITs, has to be a continuous process of upgrading the learning, and I think they have to set the model for future processes. I am sure IIT Madras will continue to provide the leadership, continue to provide the excellent manpower, excellent knowledge base to the country. I look forward to it. I am again thankful to Professor Ramamurthy for being here to be able to share my ideas, my thoughts with you. I once again congratulate all the luminaries who are going to have awards today, and I am sure we'll have long years of continued successes and greatness from this institute. Thank you.